North Carolina State and Western Carolina, a Division II foe, just like Tennessee will face tomorrow, were tied at half. It took a fourth quarter for NC State to survive what would have been a monumental upset, and the kind of upset that even though there's a 12-team playoff and you can play your way back in, that could have been one right there, Caleb, that knocks you out of playoff contention because it's such a bad loss.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, it also says you're not a very good football team. So let me get your immediate reaction on NC State. And I want that on the poll. I want that on our message board. I want your thoughts on NC State because I'm sure you watch them, and Tennessee should handle Chattanooga. So NC State is top 25 team, and we all said, look out for them. I never said that, but a lot of people did. Caleb, just give me your thoughts on NC State.
So, look, I'm going to be fair to them on this regard with NC State. You ever watched a game where you've covered them, Dave, where one team outplays the other, but just a bunch of random things happen that make the game way closer than it should be? I think that was the case here more than anything. So let's just break down what happened. In the first quarter, NC State throws an interception. Happens. And Western Carolina gets their first touchdown. Happens, right? Football all the time. Make a mistake, allow a touchdown.
Yes, it happens for a sixth-year senior to not be on the same page. One was reading man and the other was reading zone. I thought that was troublesome out of the chute, but go ahead.
But it's also his first year in the system, Grayson McCall's. So it's not like he's been here for a while. So I think
true, but he's older than Tom Brady. But anyway.
But the growing pains are there. Okay, so that happens. And then there's a 50-yard play allowed on a busted coverage on the other side. Again, something that just happens. And then in the second quarter, they had 2 touchdown drives that they should have had that were stopped because they couldn't convert a 4th and 1 because they do the thing of let me get in shotgun and run the ball on 4th and 1. And I hate it when coaches do that. But it wasn't like NC State wasn't moving the ball way better than Western Carolina. I mean, they had over 500 yards of offense. I think what really stood out to me, Dave, it actually wasn't Grayson McCall's issues. He threw for over 300 yards. He was in there longer than he wanted to be. But I just bring up those 2 fourth down plays. NC State did not look vastly superior in the trenches. Did you notice that? The line of scrimmage, they did not look like they were vastly superior to an FCS school.
I agree, and they're limited, I think, in skill position players, which could play a factor in the heat if it's a particularly hot day. I like Concepcion. I like their first-string skilled players. I don't know that they have a lot of depth behind that. Grayson McCall is a quarterback that throws a decent touch pass, does not have a big arm. He's not going to, where would he be in the SEC among quarterbacks?
Well, this year he would barely be top 10, but Dave, that's not fair. This is probably the best year in history for SEC quarterbacks.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be in the top 10. So, I mean, you're going to have Tennessee face a lot better quarterbacks than Grayson McCall this year. I think Tennessee's going to be fine there unless that secondary is a real issue. Here's the other thing that I wouldn't get overly confident based off that game alone. I'm incredibly confident that Tennessee is going to beat NC State. I was in March. I was in June. I am now. I haven't changed my thoughts that Tennessee wins 10 games this season. But I have been around a lot of these Lightning games, and it seemed like Tennessee was involved in like a Lightning game once a year, every 3 or 4 years. I mean, it seemed like it. Do you remember that? One was the Arkansas game, and then there was another.
The Travis Stevens 200-yard game. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And there was like another North Texas game or something, but it just seemed like that was happening a lot. Donald Trump, it's not global warming. But anyway, those things get herky and jerky and weird. Now, I'll say this. They put the ball on the ground a lot, at least 5 times that I counted. Now, it wasn't counted as a fumble every time because the knee was just barely down. But I guarantee you the first thing that went through Josh Heupel's mind is work on stripping the ball, and then work on stripping the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee's able to force 2 or 3 turnovers just based off fumbles alone next week. Now, is it an advantage being able to see NC State for Tennessee, or is it more of an advantage for NC State to have a couple of more days to prepare for Tennessee?
I actually think it's more of an advantage for Tennessee because they saw NC State running their legit offense because they had to actually run some things to make sure they put this game away, which is a huge help no matter who you face. I mean, we haven't talked about this, Dave, but you think there's a chance that's one of the things that helped Florida against Tennessee last year was Tennessee was struggling to put away Austin Peay, so they were actually having to run some legit offensive plays that maybe Florida was more prepared for?
Not a crazy idea. Not a crazy idea at all, because you want to be as vanilla as possible. They're never vanilla when it comes to our good friends at the Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards to ensure you only receive the best in CBD or Delta products. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Use the promo code HOOKED for 10% off. The promo code HOOKED for 10% off. And then we really didn't discuss NC State's defense to a great extent, but it just didn't seem to me like they had great playmakers. I mean, I saw last night what I thought I would see, and that was a mid-level ACC team.
Yeah, that's what they've kind of always been. I mean, NC State is somewhat the Kentucky, but of the ACC. And when you're the Kentucky of the ACC, rather than getting 6 or 7 wins to squeak into a bowl game, you get 9 or 10 wins and finish in the top 25. And that's what NC State's consistently been. I wouldn't write them off yet. I still think Grayson McCall is a good quarterback for college. And I do think that look, Dave, 5 fluke plays go differently yesterday. To NC State's winning that game 55-0. Take away if they get the 2 4th.
Okay, but I could go the other way and say a couple more of those fumbles and Western Carolina wins that game. And there's also a personal foul penalty in the first quarter. I know you can be a little bit high in the first game, not Hemp House Chat with 2Ts high, but emotionally high. So Caleb, when it comes down to it, in a coaching matchup, are you taking Dave Doeren or Josh Heupel?
No, I'm taking Josh Heupel. I mean, obviously, I'm taking Josh Heupel. But Dave Doeren was on the list of candidates Tennessee tried to hire in 2017 after killing the Greg Schiano hire. That's a funny story on its own. But I'm taking Josh Heupel. I'm just saying, okay, they don't put the ball on the ground so much. Say they just convert the 2 4th and 1s and they don't throw that interception. You're all of a sudden looking at, I just gave you 2 more touchdowns and took away an NC State touchdown. All of a sudden, 38-21 is 52-14.
Okay, it sounds like we're apologizing for NC State's poor performance. I'm saying that lightning plays an issue. You're saying fluke plays.
I'm saying you can't sit there and say this means that Tennessee is just going to cakewalk them next week.
I don't. No, I think
they could, but you can't. But that doesn't guarantee it.
No, but if you had to bet based off what you saw last year, you're the gambling guy.
Yeah, I would bet Tennessee to cover pretty significantly. But I also am. I will say this: last year Tennessee was hard to bet on because I'm just going to be honest. They had a quarterback that was so. We don't want to bring. Dave, I'm sorry. Joe Milton missed too many easy touchdown passes on deep balls. We keep forgetting about the deep ball accuracy that wasn't there.
That's not. I mean, the deep ball accuracy wasn't even my concern. I mean, it was just the middle of the field accuracy to keep teams honest and get a safety to have to be mindful of who's running over the middle of the field. I don't think that happened.
Well, that's true, but that's the reason I can't. I got no concerns with Nico Iamaleava in Tennessee's offense underperforming with him there. If they underperform this year, then Josh Heupel's offense has been figured out. That's the only explanation.
Which I don't believe will be the case. And if it is, I think it'll change it. Portions of the program brought to you by our fantastic friends at Quality Tire Pro. Quality Tire Pros, the Eberle family, has been serving Chattanooga's community since 1957. All major brands of tires, full service automotive brake alignments, oil changes, and more. All work covered by nationwide warranty in Chattanooga, Cherokee Boulevard, or online, qualitytirepros.com, qualitytirepros.com. Tell Bo that Dave and Off the Hook Sports said hello. What if the game tomorrow plays out like the NC State game?
Oh, red flags galore. I mean, red flags galore. It's time for Tennessee to freak out. It's panic time if it plays like that.
Okay. We're going to set this up as our next poll question, but first, it's this. NC State scares me blank. A little, a lot, not one bit. Vote on our YouTube page now. Where would you stand on that? And then I want to get back to if Tennessee were to play like NC State did last night.
With NC State, I would just say a little. And I would still say a little because I think Tennessee's got its own kinks that they got to work out. And whatever you want to say about him, Grayson McCall is a 6th-year senior who has a history of success at quarterback. He could maybe give the secondary some trouble. So I would still say a little, and I'm not going to overreact to a sloppy game against a Division II school. Heck, Michigan came within one game of winning the Big Ten one year, and they lost to Appalachian State in their opener.
Yes, but that was before they were still in signs. So I'm not worried one bit about NC State. I don't. I think. Okay, so NC State have a greater chance of keeping it within 10 than Chattanooga has of keeping it within 30.
Yes. I don't think Chattanooga will keep this game within 30. NC State will keep. I guarantee you, Tennessee's winning this game by. I think the spread should be 50. But
now, I think they cover both easily. I don't think. What do you think the spread will be if Tennessee does what it's supposed to do?
Oh, I think Tennessee will be 17 to 20 point favorites next week if they do what they should do against Chattanooga.
Wow. Okay.
And by the way, one other one that affects Tennessee that we got to talk about, Dave, because I told you this for a while. I said that Tennessee will be the story of college football after the Oklahoma game. Remember I told you that?
Mm-hmm, you did.
When they're going to be 3-0 going into Oklahoma. All the college football world will be on that game, and they're going to light it up with Nico, and Josh Heupel's going to just run up the score and try to humiliate him. That's when Nico becomes the Heisman favorite, and Tennessee's the talk of the town. I'm doubling down on that after last night, and here's why I'm doubling down on it. Because of Coach Prime and Deion Sanders, I thought Colorado would still, this, national media, if Colorado's a threat, they wouldn't stop talking about him, and they would do everything they can to cover him. I think Colorado will not be a story by the end of September. So I think now Tennessee has a clear path to be the story of college football when October comes around.